I've been really inspired the last couple of weeks, and I've been noticing this over a course of probably about 6 months or so. I sense a real awakening by secular people. Not just atheists. I mean people that are secular in that they can have whatever belief that they want, but they want our public space, our politics, and our public life to have nothing to do with religion. Do you sense this? Please tell me yes, that there's been some kind of awakening.
So like constitutionalists. So like people who are coming back around to 250 years ago. Yes, no, I definitely think so. I think that it does come from more people being willing to say that they're non-religious. Mm-hmm. It's the largest growing minority in the country. And so even though people who self-identify as atheists are still the most hated group and trusted less than rapists, which is totally crazy.
Right.
People who are not religious are growing in numbers, and I think they're growing in solidarity. And even religious people who are sane are standing up for secular values and saying we need to promote a separation of church and state. And we need to move away from the Christian privilege that is like underlied our political structure for way too long now.
Yeah. Does it always strike you as odd that it seems to me the religious right, on one hand, they always scream about separation of church and state, and then they're the same ones that are always pushing religion into the conversation.
Do they really scream about separation? I guess they do. I don't listen to them very much anymore.
You know, you could something, you know, real quick, something like Kim Davis and Huckabee, where he was telling people that she shouldn't abide by a law that she doesn't believe in.
Do people actually?
I guess that's combining church and state. I was giving them a little more credit than they deserve.
And also,
right
I feel like, just a quick aside with this whole Kim Davis thing, like, why do people care?
It's one woman in the
just like this is like the plane crash over and over and over, right? Like this
Yeah.
has really no bearing on any. If anything, this one woman is emblematic of how much this movement is dying. You know, the fact that there's only one person that they can point to and that everybody's rallying around her. And it's a joke. It's become such an eye roll.
Yeah.
And to me, it's actually a good thing because it's showing me that it's becoming more and more marginalized and we don't have to take them seriously.
Yeah, you know, I completely agree. I think I've sent 2 tweets on the whole Kim Davis thing, which normally it would be like one of my wheelhouse things. But it seems to me it's like, we've won this one. We've won. Right? There's nothing that Mike Huckabee can do to reverse this. Even if, God forbid, he became president. I say that with all due irony.
Yeah, he won't. He's
right.
digging himself, he's doubling down on a non-issue that's embarrassing, that it's laughable. And I think that the more that we put her in the spotlight and the more that we do the wall-to-wall CNN coverage about her, the more it gives this false sense of legitimacy that just doesn't exist.
Right. It's like the media is blowing it up to be this thing where actually the average person is like, you know what, this is a dying dinosaur right here.
No, yeah, she's a monologue joke. That's all she is, you know.
So one more on this sort of broad topic. So again, I had Sam on last week, and it's been really interesting for me to see what happens when someone with a background in science gets involved in politics. And I almost think that if I have one critique of Sam, it would be that he's placed himself in this really precarious position out of his own bravery. And as he said, it was at huge cost to him, probably personally and professionally, I would imagine. Do you think it's hard for scientists, or should people of a science background get involved in the political debate? Because it seems in a lot of ways, he's too smart to be talking about the way we talk about politics, because politics is so dumbed down, i.e. Donald Trump is leading in the Republican polls.
And it's so binary, right? There's no room for nuance in political debate, especially not in the 8-second sound bites that we've grown used to in political media. I don't know, I'm of 2 minds about this. So I am a co-host on The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, which is a popular science podcast that really celebrates skepticism, evidence-based thinking, debunking, medical quackery and things like that. And the host, Stephen Novella, is, a renowned neuroscientist and a renowned skeptic. And he has made an editorial decision on this show over the past 10 years, which I just joined like 2 months ago, that we don't discuss politics, that's not relevant to the scientific conversations. Now, on my podcast, I talk about politics all the time.
Sure.
Because I think that science is not just a topic that you study. It's not just facts and figures in a textbook, but it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of utilizing the principles of the scientific method and looking at evidence in order to make informed decisions. And so for me, scientific thinking is the foundation of politics. And if we could start moving into kind of a direction where this country is governed based on evidence and not based on, as Colbert calls it, truthiness,
right.
which is so often what we do. Legislation is passed because it gives you a gut check, right? Or because there's pork, or all those other reasons, financial, incentives and things like that. But so often we make strong legislative decisions where there is evidence available to us, and we don't base it on the evidence. And I think that if we started moving more in that direction, we'd have a much more functional government and definitely a more functional economy. And so I would like to see more scientists moving into the political arena. But I can see why it would be disconcerting if you are a functioning university scientist, because you also oftentimes receive federal money.
Sure.
And so then things start to get a little bit confusing about where your allegiance lies. Now, Sam is not a university scientist. He was a trained academic, but he doesn't work as an academic. He's an author. He does political punditry now. I mean, it's part of his job. And I applaud him for that, even though
you see
he's on hit lists. I'm sure he's on hit lists because of this. It's a choice that he made, and I think it's a really brave choice. But yeah,
I have no doubt he's on hit list.
Yeah, his life
look at
is
my
at
Twitter
risk.
feed from today. It's
Exactly.
completely out of control.